means are sought, that is, the efficient means are sought to carry out those goals and objectives. And if those goals and objectives are regional goals, then the political autonomy, the self-determination, the very freedom of the citizens of each municipality can be lost in a kind of merging and melding of municipalities, and with it people's property rights and other important social rights and civil rights can go by the boards.
I'd like to explain something, if I may, right now, about property itself. Everyone takes property for granted. We have property rights. It's always been there, so what's the big deal? But ask yourselves, where did this notion of property come from? Why do we have property at all? We call it our own. The answer is historical. And if we go back in time, we see that people have realized for thousands of years that in order to protect themselves from sovereign powers such as kings or monarchs, they must control a piece of land or piece of property for themselves.
Or a business.
Or a business.
Or some intangible assets.
Absolutely.
Whatever the property happens to be.
Because they knew darn well from experience that monarchs and kings declared the sovereignty. They had the power over their realm. And land, of course, and private property, rather, is part of the realm. Therefore, they can do what they wish with the land, and that means regulation, taxation, or they can throw you off the land completely. And this is why private property was put into the formation of this government in this country, not only the United States government, but the government of the state of Maine.
So translate this now to a local level. How is that going to affect property rights and taxation and the tax base here in Maine?
First of all, when people's ability to use their property, and I'm not just talking about lots of land, I'm talking about small houses on house lots, I'm talking about building a porch, I'm talking about renovating your property, adding on a room. When people's ability to use their property in a basic and fundamental way or to improve their property becomes very, very difficult to realize, then what happens is your property becomes useless to you. It becomes a burden to you. It becomes unmarketable. You can't sell it. You can't use it. You can't get rid of it.
Yet you continue to pay taxes on it.
That's right. Now, when this happens, those people, whether they realize it or not, are being set up for the acquisition of their property. And when that acquisitional effort hits, coming from regional government or from state government, it will always be justified as something being done in the public interest, to create an access to a green belt, or to create more open space. There's any number of rationales that can be made to take away people's property.
Or quote, the public good.
The public good, the common good.
But once their property is taken, these people become vulnerable. They become almost, if not indigent, they become more transient than they were before.
Which we've seen a lot happen in the past couple of years.
They become easy to manipulate.
And let me just point out that civilization has seen this for thousands of years. It was Plato in Republic that wrote that if a government or city-state wishes to take away men's property, their money, and destroy their families so that they do not feel possessive toward their families anymore, then they will create a society of unhappy men.
And it's not just men's property, it's women's property.
It's everyone's property now.
In our civilization, men often die before women. And if the property cannot be left to the survivor because it becomes too burdensome for the survivor to maintain, then the women suffer, the children suffer, the grandchildren suffer, and our social costs and social burdens suffer as we have to build public housing and provide supplemental assistance,
which is what we see happening
where none was
all over
needed
the country,
before.
but much more severely, I think, in New England.
We are a society that seems to be concentrating on asking for something to be done for us, rather than the traditional methodology, which was to create wealth on our own. And we are, by climbing in bed with this comprehensive plan, we are simply asking for our taxes to rise because it must be financed. These bureaucracies must be paid for, as we pointed out.
And we're asking for more control.
And yet there's a cost. And all economists know this, and all philosophers know this. The trade-off in comprehensive planning is your freedom, your self-determination. It occurs on an individual basis with your property, and it occurs on a community level with your local government. And that's the regional government that Jonathan is talking about here.
Comprehensive planning in the Portland and Greater Portland area is tied into many other types of plans which have separate sort of file folder names. But the term comprehensive already implies that what is called a comprehensive plan, which might be a separate central document, is tied into shoreline zoning plan, is tied into an open space plan, is tied into a waterfront plan, is tied into a TIF district and DID district, tax increment financing plan, and so on and so forth. The problem with comprehensive planning, one of the greatest problems with comprehensive planning, is it is so open-ended, and it commits people to a whole web, tracery, and network of planning, which is really not normal legislation. Normal legislation is an issue-by-issue, one-at-a-time, decision-making affair which the average citizen can keep up with.
Well, I've always felt that that part of the problem with the United States in general is the fact that we try to legislate so much from the top, and not very much is being done on the local level. We just have this top-heavy bureaucracy.
We've lost that connection.
And it seems to be happening on the state level, and it's happening even on a local level in Portland.
We allow it to happen. Let me just read something that every citizen of the state of Maine should be aware of. And this is right off of the first page of the Constitution of the state of Maine.
Let me preface this by just saying that the other danger of this is that people like me don't know this is going on. So
that's right. We didn't know it was going on until
there you go.
We got involved.
It's important for people to know this. So,
right.
So go ahead, John.
Yeah, I just want to preface what you're saying by the fact that comprehensive planning transcends normal political distinctions. It is neither Democratic nor Republican. In fact,
sounds fascist to me,
well, I call it friendly fascism. I call it smiling face
dictator,
or
benevolent dictator.
Yeah. Okay. In effect, a new party is arising, the party of the planners. And these planners have affiliations, Democrat, Republican, as the case may be, but they are leeching power away from the normal political process, basically generating many of the bills which overload the legislature, and basically calling the political shots in this state and in perhaps 10 to 12 other states in the United States. There are other comprehensive planning states like Maine, which are heavily into what we call the growth management movement.
With that,
okay.
Jim?
Yeah, we're talking about a feeling that we have lost our government, that they seem to be operating in a vacuum of their own. And the reason this is occurring is because we as a people don't understand where the power truly lies. The power lies within us as individuals. We are the sovereigns, not the kings with their realm. We are the realm, we the people. The Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution of the state of Maine, which is a very good constitution, it came out of Massachusetts. It says, all power is inherent in the people. We control. We have the power. The government is founded in its authority and instituted for the benefit of the people. This comes right out of the Declaration of Independence and right out of what we fought for 200 years ago. And in Section 1 of Article 1, it says that all men are born equally free and independent, and to enjoy and defend life and liberty, to acquire, possess, and protect property. There it is, right in our Constitution. Yet if we do not understand it, yet if we are not taught this, and we're not aware of it, then we allow the age of the planners to occur. And they come in and they tell us what to do with our land, and if we do nothing about it, well, silence as defined by the court means yes. We consent to it.
There was a bill in a recent legislative session which would have given Maine's towns and cities the option of allowing the 11